So, UFC 329 got done last night. It was a crazy card. Craziest card of the year. Conor McGregor, I don't know what happened. It was a disappointment. He blew out his knee trying to do some stupid jumping kick at the start of the fight. Um, couldn't continue. But looking at the rest of the card, it was fire. There were 11 finishes from the prelims to the main card. No snoozes really. All exciting fights. You know, Conor versus Max obviously was a disappointment, but I'll be going over all the fights, my predictions, and who I want to see the winners match up against in the future. So, from my predictions on yesterday's video, I went 8-3. The three I got wrong were on the main card: Paddy Pimblett, Bautista, and Royval all winning when I picked against them, but we'll start from the bottom, I guess. The first prediction I made, Ryan Gandra, first round TKO. He did exactly that. He got Zachary Reese out of there and won, just as I expected. He looks very promising at middleweight. So I'd say a big step up for him against another good striker who could really actually challenge him because he's 3-0 in the UFC, including the Contender Series, all first round knockouts. So I'd say put him against Roman Kopylov. He's coming off a win over Marco Tullio, decision win. Before that, he lost two decisions against Paulo Costa and Gregory Rodriguez. But Kopylov is a great kickboxer, and I think if he can really give a test to Ryan Gandra. So I'd like to see that matchup in the future. Then Damian Pinez, again, 2 for 2 so far, exactly how I thought it would be. Another first round knockout over Cesar Almeida. Um, this guy is huge for middleweight, really powerful. He looks like a type of Gautier. And I was thinking about that matchup, but uh, I've gone even a step higher. I've gone with Suzakayev. He's Hamzat's boy. He's 12-0, 4-0 in the UFC, including the Contender Series, all finishes, two knockouts, two subs, and he's really never been tested, Suzakayev, in my opinion. So I think a guy like Pinez would give him a real test with the knockout power. Like, Suzakayev gets hyped up so much, and yeah, he gets finishes, but even in the last fight that was on the early prelims of the Strickland versus Chimaev fight, and it took him 3 rounds to submit like a subpar opponent. So I want to see a real test for Suzakayev. I think Pinez could knock him out. Pinez is coming for everyone at middleweight right now, so I'd love to see that. Then my next prediction was Luke Riley by knockout, and he got it done against Kai Kamaka. Really impressive for Luke Riley. Caught him with the right hand, dropped him, and then put on the pressure, finished Kai Kamaka. People were saying it was an early stoppage. I don't know. I think it was good. I think the ref stepped in at the right time. Kamaka was going to go down anyways, and it's just avoiding unnecessary damage. I'd say next up for Luke Riley, I think he's 14-0 now. Melchizedek Costa. He is top 15. I think Riley definitely deserves that. He's another good kickboxer. His last fight was a loss, pretty dominantly, to Arnold Allen. So maybe a step down for Milky. It would be a great striking matchup. Test if Luke Riley's really top 15 worthy. I'm sure he is. That will be a banger fight. Then Adrian Yanez, he found the finish over Cody Garbrandt. Garbrandt's pretty washed now. But for Yanez, it was a good performance. Garbrandt's not great, so it's not like a crazy Shocker, it's not Prime Garbrandt anymore. But a little step up for Yanez. I've picked out Damon Blackshear. He's not a great fighter. He's 5-4-1 in the UFC. He's coming off a poor performance where he was the favorite. Um, I think it was July of last year, and he's been out since then. I don't know if he's injured or something, but I'd say Yanez versus Blackshear. Put it on another prelim card at the end of the year, and yeah, it's not the most exciting fight, but it's the type of fights that need to happen. Then Gable Stevenson, first round TKO, just like I thought he would. Well, not just like I thought he would. I thought he would get to the takedown and then get ground and pound finish, but he actually impressed me on the feet. Stevenson, his boxing was elite against Ellison. I thought Ellison was going to test him a little bit. You know, the UFC is a different level, and he's a Olympic wrestler, and that's great. But you can get smothered on the ground, but the same thing can happen on the feet if you're not prepared. You can get surprised on the feet, but that didn't happen. Stevenson was really good. You can see he's learned a lot from John Jones. The the Muay Thai knees really helped him find the finish. And yeah, another really impressive performance for Stevenson. He looks so dominant at heavyweight. But I was 5 for 5 so far. And yeah, anyways, Stevenson, next fight, I'd give him Mario Pinto. Um, he's a ranked fighter at heavyweight, 12-0, undefeated, dangerous striker to give Stevenson a real test on the feet because Ellison, he's not great. Obviously the UFC are going to want to build Gable Stevenson as even a future title contender, but I'd say just give him a top 15 guy now. Don't rush it. You don't want to lose one of your biggest prospects by trying to push him too quick. So, yeah, Stevenson versus Pinto, two kind of up and coming guys at heavyweight. Then Robert Whitaker, he found the win at light heavyweight. He looked really good. People were saying he might be too small, but I think that just helped him because of how quick he was. He was able to catch Krylov off guard when he was darting in, firing the 1-2, and then he found the finish at the start of the third round, hit him with a really hard hook. I think he probably broke Krylov's jaw. Krylov waved off the ref. He had enough. Um, yeah, I think his jaw got messed up, but really impressive from Whitaker. He said after the fight that it's his new home at this weight division at light heavyweight. He feels good here. I'd give him Dominic Reyes as the next matchup. Dominic had a boring last fight against Walker. Um, really boring decision. He also beat Nikita Krylov last year, so Reyes is a bit washed, but he's still, his most recent loss was to Ulberg, the champion. So I say Whitaker versus Reyes, really test Whitaker at 205, and then top five guy after that, I guess. Then kicking off the main card, another prediction I got right. King Green in the first round, buzzer beater finish with a second left. Well, the horn had gone off, but the ref called it off. A lot of people said he shouldn't have, but I actually agree with the stoppage. I don't think you can really be saved by the bell there. I think the ref was right to call that off because McKinney wasn't defending himself intelligently. He was just down on his knees, half covering his head. Green was putting it on him. But Green struggled at the start of the round. McKinney almost submitted him. He was on his back for a while, but Green managed to get back up, hit him with a hard body shot. I think he caught him on the liver, dropped McKinney, found the finish last second. Really impressive from Green. That was always going to be a first round finish for one of those guys. But not Dominic, Dan Hooker called him out on Twitter right after the fight. So I think that's another really entertaining fight. It's going to be a war. So again, that will be another great main card opener because the main card you want to open it with a firefight, a finish. Green's always going to deliver that. Dan Hooker, he's a bit of a punching bag, but let Green knock him out, and we'll see. Then Brandon Royval. This is the first one I got wrong against Kavanagh. I thought Kavanagh would be better. I'm not disappointed in Kavanagh. I'm more impressed with Royval. I said Royval only loses to elite guys of the division. I thought Kavanagh was one of those guys, but clearly not. Brandon worked off his jab really well at the start of the fight, and then the grappling was good. Kavanagh brought Royval to the ground, and Royval almost got a armbar. He's dangerous off his back, and he's dangerous on top as well. Got to the back, got the rear naked choke. A little bit disappointing from Kavanagh, but Royval is just a top 5 gatekeeper guy now. And he's kind of in a tough spot because he's lost to Van, the champion. He's lost to Pantoja, the number 1 or 2 contender. He just got knocked out by Manil Cap. And I guess Tatsuro Taira, because they had a split decision back in 2024. So I'd say just run that back because there's no one really else in the top 5. There's Asuel Mabayev coming up, so I could see that in the future if Royval is, still that gatekeeper guy at the top 5. I think he probably will be for the rest of his career until he falls off. But yeah, really impressed with Royval. Unfortunately, I got it wrong though. Then Mario Bautista, another pick I got wrong against Sandhagen. It was a really good fight, more entertaining than I thought it would be. I thought it'd be more methodical, slow paced, but they were going at it. Both of them striking. Bautista got the better of the striking in the first round. Second round was close, but the third round, Bautista mixed in the grappling and secured the win. Again, Bautista is also in an awkward spot, similar to Royval. Merab is going to fight Yan. Umar is fighting against Sung Yadong, and he's just beaten Corey. So that only leaves Sean O'Malley in the top 5. But Sean O'Malley does want a title fight after Merab, and he has the Dana White privilege, so I think he'll be, just waiting in line for after that. So more realistically would be David Martinez. I think he's ranked number 7. Step down for Bautista, but there's no one really above him that he can realistically fight. So, yeah, really impressive from Bautista. He looked really good all around, striking, grappling, everything. Footwork, he looked amazing. Then Paddy Pimblett, he subbed BSD in like 30 seconds. That was crazy. I thought BSD would win, but I did say if BSD tries to take him down, he's got to be careful that Paddy doesn't jump on a submission. And he did. He locked up the front Darce choke, kind of figure 4 choke. Yeah, choked BSD out, man. Pimblett lost to Justin earlier in the year. Arman and Charles, one of those guys are getting a title shot, or they're going to fight each other, maybe for a vacant belt if Justin retires. There's Max Holloway, but I'll get to that later. But I'd say Ilia Topuria versus Pimblett. This is a fight that has been brewing for a while. These guys don't like each other. There's beef there. Dana wants that fight. It's a money fight. That could be a main event or even a co-main. Ilya rebound fight. I feel like Ilya's style or even his fighting was like almost based off of his aura that he had, and I feel like he's lost all that against Gaethje. But now I feel like people are gonna disregard him, almost act like he was never that good. Paddy might overlook him, um, but I think if Paddy actually manages to beat Ilya, that could secure him a title shot. You know, Paddy's a superstar. Dana's gonna want him getting another title shot. So yeah, Ilya versus Paddy. That'll be a crazy fight. Press conference will be amazing. Um, yeah, I'd love to see that at the end. Probably next year when Ilya recovers. Then for Max Holloway, I don't really know what to say about Max. He didn't really do anything. You know, he maybe punched McGregor once or twice when he was on his back after falling down because of his knee injury. So again, there's not much for Holloway. You know, Pimblett versus Topuria, I think that might happen. He's not going to get a title shot after McGregor finished himself. He's not beating Arman or Charles. He's just lost to Charles. So I guess that leaves Mauricio Rufy. He's, he's looking to break into that top five. He's a really dangerous striker. Max Holloway versus Rufy, that would be a one hell of a fight. It could have been BMF if Max still had the BMF belt, but yeah, not much to say about Holloway's performance. There's nothing to say about it. But yeah, Rufy versus Holloway would be awesome. Then finally, Conor McGregor. That's probably the worst UFC performance of all time. Um, Tried a stupid flying kick, landed sideways, twisted his knee, just couldn't walk on it, and had to wave off the fight. I think he's got to retire. I don't see him making a recovery, injuring his knee again. He injured, I think it was the other knee he injured in the Holloway fight 13 years ago. He's injured his shin. Now he's got a knee injury. He's old. He can't move the same. And I'm just like he wanted to turn back the clock, be old McGregor, kick heavy, not the boxing style we saw against Dustin. But he's just too old. He can't move like that anymore. I was really disappointed. I was so hyped up seeing McGregor walk out again. Like I never thought I'd see that happen in person. But it was awesome to see it happen. And then it was such a letdown to see the fight end. I don't think he threw a punch. Like it didn't feel real that it had happened. But yeah, kind of crazy. Anyways, to wrap it up, UFC 329, incredible event. Apart from, of course, the main event was such a big letdown. If that fight had even, if Holloway had finished him in 10 seconds, it would have been a better fight, and it probably would have been fight of the year. Obviously, the White House card was crazy, but the prelims were all awesome. Main event, our main card was awesome. Main event just let it down. But yeah, 8-3 in my first prediction. Not bad. That's all I have for this video.